Hello everybody, welcome to Airsoft Tech Talk, episode 7. Yes, 7, I'm right. I got my math right. Alright, so we're going to try to make this one pretty quick, under 10 minutes. So, let's get right down to the questions. Phantom Airsofter asks, what is your opinion on G&G Gearbox shells? Okay, G&G shells. I do not like these shells. You know why? Because they're thin. They're made out of pot metal, really bad pot metal, and they try to radius them for whatever reason because they don't even radius them properly. Oh, my finger popped. But that's why I don't like G&G Gearbox shells. I cannot tell you the amount that I have cracked on a stock setup, so I refuse to use them in about any case. Occasionally I'll get somebody ask me if I can tune their combat machine, which I'm up for, but I'm not willing to put an M120 spring in a high speed or high torque motor and an 11.1 volt LiPo in it because that's just going to tear it to shreds. Now I'm talking about the combat machine gearbox shells. Now they're really thin upper portion. Now they're pro line guns. They're a little bit better on the gearbox shell because they're the same dimension as regular version 2 gearbox shells, the Tokyo Marui standard, but they're still not made out of a better metal. So they're still pretty thin. Overall, the gearbox shells are really on spec. They come with 8mm bushing slots, so potential, but they're just too weak and they're too thin to even be able to be used for anything. I wouldn't use them, plain and simple, for anything more than a stock setup. That's why I don't like G&G. They're bad. Mile High 01 asks, bacon or sausage? Such a tough question. Probably bacon because it tastes really, really good. I know sausage tastes good too. I love good sausage, but I love good bacon more than good sausage, if you get what I mean there. I love waking up to the smell of bacon. I love smelling the smell of bacon no matter what time of the day it is. I love tasting bacon no matter what time of the day it is. It's just an overall fantastic experience. Yes, I do love sausage, but I love bacon just a little bit more. Flashmind Logs asks, hey, I have a question. My AEG is shooting great for like 30 meters, and then the BB goes straight up and on the right. The BB goes up because of the Hopup, but I don't want my BB to go on the right. I recently bought a PDI Raven 6.01 and a new Hopup bucking. This effect remains. I shimmed the inner barrel and the outer. What should I do? Thanks. Okay, so with super inaccuracy issues and just, crazy stuff like that, where one round it goes straight up and one round it goes, way left ball, and then one round it just goes straight to the ground, I've noticed that 9 times out of 10, it's a dirty barrel. Even if you got a brand new barrel, it can be dirty because I've gotten stuff out of the factory. Like I think I got a ZCI barrel, which I know they're not as good as PDI, and the quality control isn't as nice as PDI, but still, you can still have dirty barrels. So I got that barrel in, and it was just like oily and nasty, and I looked down the down the barrel, and it's just got like mounds of dirt in it. So first thing I did was wash it out with actually some warm soap water, like just clean up the top surface of it, and then I got 100% alcohol and cleaned out the inside, and then it just shined on the inside, and it got just fine accuracy. The other thing it could possibly be is the fact that the Hopup arm can be a little too loose inside of the Hopup unit. Now what I'm talking about here is this is a Hopup unit, a standard version 2 Hopup unit, and it's clear, so this might be hard to see, but I don't have one that has a black arm or blue arm, something that you can actually see. But the arm in here, the thing that does the adjusting, when you turn the wheels, the arm will go down or up, whichever way you turn it. And we're turning it up, so we're turning it down, so it's going to go up. The arm, if it's too loose, it's too thin, it'll wiggle side to side in those walls. And most Hopup units aren't like this anymore. It used to be a big issue where most Hopup units were really like there was a ton of wiggle room in there, and you had to shim it out to get it to be stabilized. But nowadays a lot of Hopup arms are really tight, actually, like Lone X and Pro One, they're really tight. So that's not normally a problem, but if yours is really loose, that can be the problem. And to fix this, you can wrap the whole arm in electrical tape. Not electrical tape, aluminum foil. Wow, not electrical tape. Aluminum foil and shim out the space basically. And if you can make it to where it slides in to where it doesn't wiggle around a bunch, but that it's not super tight so it won't go up or down, then that can help eliminate your accuracy issues. In addition, if your bucking has a bunch of silicone on it or oil, then it's kind of working against itself. Hopup units and buckings and all that stuff work through friction. And if you have lubricated your bucking, it is not working through friction because what does lubrication do? Prevent friction. I mean, hello kids. So if you have lubrication on your bucking where the mound is and where it engages the BB, or in the front lips where it engages the BB as well, you could have horrible accuracy because it can't grip on the BB and give it a proper spin. So I would definitely check your barrel, clean the barrel, bucking, wash the bucking with soap and water, like, you know, scrub it between your hands, turn it inside out, scrub it between your hands, and then let it sit out to dry, and then that'll be fine. And then shim out the space in your Hopup unit, and that's really about most you can do. You said you shimmed the barrel, which is barrel stabilization. You shimmed it against the outer barrel. I did that to almost every gun I use because accuracy. Those are the things you want to check out. In addition, what BB type, I mean, if you have some junk BBs, like I think, what BB? Valken BBs had that trouble for the longest time, where they were garbage, so they would either break or they would have horrible accuracy, stuff like that. But enough of me rambling. Like I said, clean the barrel. I'm repeating myself, but clean the barrel, clean the bucking, stabilize and or shim your Hopup arm. And if that doesn't fix it, message me because we'll figure it out. Fid135610 asks, what MOSFETs would you recommend for a KWA2GX gearbox? Really just any MOSFET. KWAs, believe it or not, are actually not that hard to work on. Sure, they're a little different. They're not necessarily off spec because everything in a KWA gearbox shell can be replaced. It's not that hard. It really gets hard when you try to replace the gearbox shell itself. However, and that's not necessarily answering your question, but your question is insinuating that the KWA gearbox shell doesn't accept some MOSFETs. So it accepts any MOSFET really. You can put a Black Talon concepts in it. You can put that includes Spectra, Chimera, you know, that kind of stuff. Or you can put a simple 3034 base FET because the KWA contacts work the same as any other contacts. That being said, if you have a low budget and you're like me and you just want to get a MOSFET that works half the time, no, I'm sorry, you want to get a MOSFET that works, but half the time you just want a MOSFET that works, is what I'm saying. Because I have a Spectra and a Chimera in both my guns over here, and then I've got a 3034 FET in my other two guns. But if you just want a MOSFET that gets the job done, you know, protecting your basic trigger contacts, then a Nuke FET is a good option. I love those MOSFETs, they're pretty awesome. Or a Kelly Colburn MOSFET. Both those MOSFETs can be had for around $20, and they come with about the same stuff. They got the same advantages and disadvantages. Personally, I lean towards the Kelly Colburn FET because it's like the eco wire. It's a smaller MOSFET and that kind of thing. I like to go for that. The wire is thinner, but it's not. It's still 16 gauge, but the wire insulation is thinner. It's eco wire, like I said, and it's a smaller MOSFET. So all that stuff combined really makes it, in my opinion, a little bit better than the Nuke FET, but that's just me personally. But yeah, any 3034 base FET will work, and if you want to get really nice and fancy and you got a lot of money in your wallet, go for a Black Talon Concept Spectra or Chimera FET. Oh, Kevin G asks, what are the advantages of having a split gearbox? And do you plan on buying one of the new retro arms ones that have just come out? I love split gearboxes because it makes teching a heck of a lot easier. If you're working on a gearbox and say it's your first time and you got a version 2 gearbox shell, and when you put in the spring, the anti-reverse latch pops up because it loves to be annoying. Well, it's hard to hold that spring down and put in an anti-reverse latch and hold that down because you only got 2 hands and then put a shell on. You don't have 3 hands. I know that's not an issue for a lot of people. I mean, some people can get it to work, but sometimes anti-reverse latches and springs are just annoying. So with split gearboxes, you know, like the ICS M16 I have, it eliminates this because it takes the anti-reversal latch, you know, thing in the lower gearbox shell, and the main spring thing in the upper gearbox shell apart. So you're only working with one at a time. In addition, it makes piston swaps, and if like say some silly part like a tappet plate breaks, then it makes everything a heck of a lot easier. This is the upper gearbox shell of a split gearbox. This is an ICS. As you can see, I have the tappet plates in there, piston, cylinder, spring guide, and then there's the air nozzle and cylinder head. Yeah, it just makes everything so much easier because you don't have to put everything together all in one box. And 9 times out of 10, and this is just something that, you know, techs, you know, do, or techs recognize really, the lower part of your gearbox is almost always the more reliable portion, because if you have good gears like Siege Tech, if you have a good motor, you know, something that you've built, like just say a JG Blue, even though you don't build those, so you got a JG Blue because that's a reliable motor. You got a JG Blue and like a Chimera FET, like it's almost the exact setup that I have here. But that's a reliable setup. More than likely my gears aren't going to break, my motor isn't going to burn out unless I push it really hard, and my Chimera FET's going to be just fine because it's BTC. So 9 times out of 10, if something breaks, it's probably going to be up here. And this makes it really easy because if my gun breaks on the field, and it never has before actually, I can go out and be like, oh man, my gun's broke. So I'll go back out to the starting area, or, you know, the resting area, take off the upper, realize it's a broken tappet plate and replace it, because I bring spare tappets, spare pistons, and just spare springs, like stuff like that to games. So it makes everything so much easier. In addition, what I really like to do with this is, and I'm working on this right now, is I like to build a DMR upper. This is my field upper. It's an M130 spring, so it shoots around 415 FPS right here, because it's slightly over volume. I think it's like 415, 420. But I have two uppers. I have a DMR upper that I'm working on, and a regular upper. So I think I'm probably gonna get a third one for a CQB. This makes everything so simple because I have the Chimera FET. I can adjust rate of fire. I can make it semi-only. I can make the max rate of fire. So I can have a CQB, a field, and a DMR all in one gun if I so choose to. And that's one of the advantages to split gearbox designs. There are 3 split gearbox designs out right now that I know of, besides Sistema, Katana, WE, Celsius, all that. That doesn't count really because it's not AEG. There's the ICS, which I've worked on all the time, and that's the only one I've ever worked on. There's the ProWin. I've never worked on that one, but I have friends that have, and they say it's a pain in the butt, but it's beautiful when you get it working. And then there's the Retro Arms one. The Retro Arms one is basically supposed to be the ProWin split gearbox shell, but done right. So I'm really looking forward to getting that, and yes, I will be getting it very, very soon, actually, so don't worry. But yeah, split gearboxes, totally awesome. Well, that'll have to do it for Airsoft Tech Talk, episode 7? Yeah, 7. I really got bad memory lately. On this episode, we talked about bacon and split gearbox shells. I don't know which one's cooler yet. I need to get my hands on the Retro Arms gearbox shell, and then I might decide, but bacon is for sure tastier, I'll say that. But yeah, that'll have to do it for this episode. If you liked this video, definitely upvote it. If you didn't, downvote it and tell me why. Now, you can comment questions for next week's episode. I'll try to have, well, maybe not next week's episode. I'll try to have these every 2 weeks because I upload videos on Wednesday and Friday. And if I had a Tech Talk video every Friday, that would leave out variety, and I'd have to have variety for only one day. So I try to make this every 2 weeks, so these are not necessarily harder videos to make, but there's certainly stuff I put a lot more time into. So I do hope you guys like it. Comment below a question, and if I like it and if I want to answer it, I'll answer it. I will say, I do try to stay away from the really long questions because they take a lot of time to answer, take a lot of time to spell out, and then when I bring them up on the screen to show you guys, they kind of get blurry and out of phase. So I try not to go with long questions. Now, if you can take that long question and shorten it down to maybe a sentence or two, I'll pick it out and we'll answer it. But until then, I'll see you guys on the next episode of whatever the heck I do, and until then, I'll see you guys later.